This video will help you review how to find the roots of a quadratic expression or when you're given the factors of a quadratic expression here. So we're going to have two different examples here. We'll start off with the one on the left, which is when you're given the two factors. Whatever's inside the two parentheses, those are your two factors. So what we're going to do with those two factors is the following. So when it's given to you in that form, you're going to set each of the factors equal to 0. In other words, you're going to have two different equations. So the inside of each of the parentheses is one factor. So we'll set the first one, x plus 2 equals 0. That's one equation. And then the second equation, which is whatever's inside the second parentheses. Then we want to solve for x in both situations here. So for the first one, we're going to subtract 2 on both sides, and we end up getting that x is negative 2. We're going to try a similar process for the second one. So we want to cancel the 9, so we're going to add 9 on both sides. And then this one, since there was a coefficient next to x, there's an extra step. So we're going to divide by 3 here to leave x alone, and we end up getting that x is 3. That means that your roots are going to be negative 2 and positive 3. So that's one way of finding your roots when you're given the factors. Sometimes you're not going to be given the factors, you're going to be given an expression. So you have to find the factors first, and then you find the roots. Like in this case here, we're going to have to factor first, which is what we reviewed in the previous video. Step 1 is identifying your A, your B, and your C. So this expression here is in standard form, similar to this here. AX squared plus BX plus C. So let's identify those three values there. There's no A there, so that means that A is 1. Similar to B, there's no B there, that means that B is 1. And your C is your constant, the last term, which is negative 42. So that's our first step, just identifying each of those values, which we are going to be using in the later steps. Step 2 says that we want to find the factors of A times C. So in this case, A times C will be 1 times negative 42, which is negative 42, right? And not only we want to find the factors of negative 42, but we want those factors to meet another condition. That is that we want those factors to sum up to B, which in this case is 1. So I want two numbers that multiply to negative 42, but also those numbers need to add up to positive 1. So let's start with the most basic factors. So 1 times negative 42. One of those needs to be negative since we want to get negative 42. We'll make the 1 negative because we want our sum to be positive. So if I add negative 1 and positive 42, I don't get 1. So that means I have to continue looking for my factors. Let's try negative 6 and 7. And when I add it, I do get 1. So that means that those are the factors that I'm going to use in the later step. Negative 6 and positive 7. So we are using the method of the area model to factor here. So I'm going to combine step 3 and step 4 here with my area model. That's our box. And the inside of the box will help us find the outside. So inside the first box is your first term, which if we look back at the problem is x squared. The second box is the factors that you found in step 2, which is negative 6x and negative 7 for box 3. Box 4 is the last term, or your C, which is negative 42. So the outside is going to be our factor. So I want two numbers that multiply to x squared, which is x and x. And on top of box 2 is negative 6, because negative 6 times x is negative 6. And so on for the outside of box 3 as well. So the outside are your factors, which is x minus 6 and x plus 7. Now that we have our factors, we'll do what we did in the first problem, which is set each of those factors equal to 0. So because we have two factors, two sets of parentheses, that means we should have two equations as well. Are you always going to have two equations? Not always, but in most cases. So add 6 to both sides, you get x is 6. Add, subtract 7 to both sides on the second equation, you get x equals -7. So those are going to be your two roots. And that's how you find the roots when you're either given the factors or you're given an expression. I hope that this video was helpful.